Well, we're back again. It's your movie review, man. It's Jeff.
How you doing? Claude here.
And today we're going to talk about something that's in heavy rotation at the moment. If everybody's Netflixing and at home, they can check out this film that we're going to cover, which is called Crawl. And Crawl falls under one of Claude's favorite genres, so I'm going to let Claude go first.
Okay. Yeah, actually, when you suggested the movie, it tickled my funny bone for a couple of reasons. Because it just seemed like, when we were talking about doing like the show, I know that we sort of had a general idea what we were talking about. So when you say Crawl, I said, okay, well, we have, this sort of like this modestly well-crafted horror thriller, which basically falls into, I guess you could say, the subgenre of alligator movies. And overall, it was pretty cool. There's a young heroine who's in she's a college competitive swimmer. She does not win the match that she's in, but around this time there's a hurricane coming to hit Florida, and she receives a call from her sister that the sister tried to call her father, and they weren't able to reach. She wasn't able to reach her father, so she volunteers to go to find the father, and she doesn't find him in his condominium. So she knows that they're trying to sell their old house, and she goes to the house to try to find him. And lo and behold, we have we come to find out that this is not a melodrama, but dun dun dun, a horror thriller where alligators are there. And I was really, I really actually love that this was a suggestion that you brought up, and you eventually told me that your brother had mentioned the movie, because it was just like, okay, it seemed a little off, but it actually, I think it's sort of real cool that we talk about the movie, because I think it's a well-crafted entertainment. And to me, the alligator part was sort of interesting, because the alligator just seemed like it was sort of like a byproduct of Jaws. Like early 80s, New Line Pictures made Alligator, which was basically Jaws ripoff. So whenever you had a successful movie like Jaws, then you would have New World Pictures or someone else coming up with Orca the Killer Whale,
Right,
Piranha,
that's true.
and Alligator just fell into that. Alligator actually was written by John Sayles, who's among our best storytellers. But he started at New Line, Pictures. And Alligator is actually just a very good thriller. So I sort of saw Jaws, which is a Spielberg movie, being the sort of like the father of some of the genres. And so you get like a number of alligator movies, and this one also, I started thinking that this one also, I would say, is sort of like a younger brother to Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, because the alligators and like sharks are basically byproduct of dinosaurs. And so you take a sort of like a B movie idea around alligators, you place them in a haunted house, just like Jurassic Fallen World was that you take dinosaurs and you place them in a house. So you have basically two genres. You got a monster movie and a haunted house movie.
Sure. The fact that, of course, the house is haunted by an alligator.
Well, it's haunted by an alligator, and it's also actually haunted by the dad's inability to move on. He is very honest about, that he was not the best husband to his wife. They were basically getting ready to sell the house to move on.
Yeah,
but
true.
He's sort of, in a way, he's emotionally stuck when the house goes in escrow, and he becomes physically stuck because he survived an alligator.
Because he's trapped in a doggone crawl space
yeah,
with an alligator.
In there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
he can't
really,
move on.
yeah. So it's not
dead.
a haunted house like
he's not even dead. Yeah, he's not even dead. He's tortured. He's still living, but in pain and trapped in the doggone crawl space of the house that he can't emotionally let go of. That's true. That's true. Yeah. It had all those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Which captured me about it, because like I said, you described it well. It was a horror thriller. I like thrillers. I do not like horror movies, and I hate hack and slash movies. And where would you say, where do Jaws and Alligator and Piranha, what category do they fall in? Or, I mean, you don't have to put everything in a box, but if you were to put it in a box, what do you call it when it's some psycho killer with a knife coming out of the closet? It's an animal chewing you up. What is that?
Well, I think, I think there are elements, to me, there's still elements of horror movie. Hack and slash is one type of horror film. All right?
Correct.
So, so these to me would be sort of like, they sort of fall into the horror category. I think back in the 50s, where you sort of had you had giant animals attacking and munching on people before. So you would say there was those were an offshoot of science fiction and paranoia about atomic power and all that type of stuff.
And a smidge of disaster though too, right?
Yeah, disaster. Yeah.
Because King Kong and Godzilla and Attack of the Giant Ants and whatever are horrifying, but also a disaster, which this film, I appreciated, gave you elements of all those things, right? Because the timing element for this film happened to be a hurricane. So they just typical film devices to add layers to their film. And even if they layered them on in like really straightforward ways, I still appreciated it, right? Because right when you were like getting a whole bunch of animal attack film, if you will, or a whole bunch of horror, and you really broke down the horror because you're trapped in the house, right? The horror more than anything else is that is a common piece of the genre. Not so much the knife with the person coming to get you, but that you're trapped in the house. I mean, it was a horror when they said, "Wait a minute, the call's coming from within the house." Nobody got you with the knife yet, but you're still horrified. Why? Because you're trapped in this house.
Yeah.
And in this movie, even after they got all the way out of the house and got on a boat, then the hurricane came and smashed them back inside the house.
Yeah.
I mean, and they weren't even subtle about it. She was like, what the, you gotta be effing kidding me, right? And even that was fun to say, wow, yeah, they sure did play us with that, right? They just as soon as we got done with being a horror movie, they gave us a disaster movie for a couple quick seconds because we forgot the timing element, and the tension is that all this is happening while a hurricane's happening. They're trapped in the basement and they can't get out, and the water level is rising. And then just in case you weren't clear that this is a theatrical timing element, the dad measures how long it takes, how many inches the water is rising per minute, and therefore I was like, dude, it's a hurricane. The rate is not going to be even. But don't worry about that.
Yeah, but yeah.
Don't worry about that. He literally
appreciate it though. I appreciate it because it was like audience, because they know they have to have the pressure cooker effect.
Right.
You're right. Reality, it's like forget the tape measure. But that's why it was well crafted, because it consistently put people in jeopardy.
Yes.
And then as soon as they got out of one thing, it just got to be really worse.
It just got into one other.
I mean, I love the fact when they were inside the house, and then she's going up to the window, and she sees that the helicopter's coming. You see the damn water is like 4/4 of the way up. And you know damn well it's against horror movies. You do not want to stand in front of a mirror, and you don't want to stand in front of a window. Big glass
and it's like
window.
You're in front of a window, and you're like, I wonder what's going to happen while you're in front of the window. Wait for it. Wait. This is not a spoiler. We don't do spoiler reviews, but I think if she's against the window in an alligator movie and the water is halfway up, wait, audience, take a moment. What's going to happen? But yet, the movie was done so well, sure enough, you jumped. You jumped anyway. He jumped anyway.
Yeah.
She and like I said, this is totally not my kind of film, which is probably why you were shocked that I would bring this up. It's totally not my kind of film. My brother, who I'm sure we'll have on the show sometime, we disagree like almost all the time about the kind of things he likes and the things I like and that he doesn't like. So I'm like, why would I watch this film? I don't like what he likes and he doesn't like what I like. But I watched it anyway, and I'm at least honest. I'm watching the film and it completes the first act, and I said, okay.
You're in
I
it.
said, okay.
You're in
I
it.
texted
Yeah.
him. I said, okay. I gave him a message. Said, you know what? You know, you got me with this one.
Yeah.
Because the whole first act was of the genre that I do like, which is thriller. And you set it up well, where the daughter, who's kind of estranged with her dad, but her sister gives a plea, go find daddy. I'm worried about daddy because of the hurricane, which is setting our timing element and our pressure cooker. So the whole first act is, where's dad? Where's dad? I don't know where dad is. I better hurry up and find out where dad is because the hurricane's coming. Where's dad? Where's dad? And when they completed the first act, oh, that's where dad is. That's why dad is where he is. And now I'm stuck with him too.
Yeah.
I think they actually, I'm gonna have to go back and look. I think they actually faded to black, right? Where it said act 1 complete. And I said, okay, you have my full attention. This is not your average film. This is well crafted. You did a nice job. You pulled me all the way in. And we haven't even bit nobody yet.
Yeah. No, you needed a.
And someone's gonna get crunched.
That noise.
I mean, and you think about it, there weren't even that many tail wags. And me, you know, I know gators. The most dangerous part of alligators, that tail will snap you in half with one good pop. And they didn't even have that many pops in there. It's just like, no, we're gonna chew some people up in here. People are gonna get chewed. You know, you came for a chewing that's gonna occur, but they took their time with it. The whole first act was a thriller. And then you're just like, oh, okay, all right, you have my full attention now.
Yeah.
And then they gave you, like you said, all the other elements. Did they in fact have someone go to the window? Yes, they did. Did people get chewed? People got chewed. If you were there just for getting chewed up, you will be fully satisfied with the crunching action.
Yeah. Yeah, and even like just the different people. It's like, okay, it's about a daughter and his father. Do we have casualties? Yeah. Do the casualties make sense? Yeah, in a B movie kind of way. Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. 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 In a B movie kind of way. You're a wrong person. I wonder what's going to happen to you, audience. We don't spoil, but just take a moment. This person's wrong. They're not doing the right thing. What will happen to them in an alligator film? And they do. They get their comeuppance, and you're like, okay. And it had all those elements, and then had a nice job of resolving in a way that's not the standard, resolution.
Yeah.
Meaning,
I mean, the thing is, I think this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, those who live is not entirely like you said. You're waiting for a couple more crunches and chew ups, and they end in a different way. That gives you, full resolution of a story, full resolution of drama, full resolution of, the characters, not just, we need a few more blood spurts. Can you chew up one more person? Because it's fun, Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and they give the melodrama the attention that it deserves. I mean, when you think about it, and again, going back to the whole idea that this is a subgenre that again, origin is probably going to, I mean, you can even definitely go back to Jaws because it's a similar thing. And what makes the movie, what made the movie for me is also just sort of like the heart of the daughter. You're completely invested. You're going to go ahead. You want to check on your parent, make sure they're okay. Oh, she comes across the roadblock. The guy, the older sister's boyfriend is saying, "Oh, it's very dangerous, but I'll check on him for you." But as soon as she can, she gets, she's like, and just in her mind, fuck this. I'm going to check on dad. I'm
going to check on him for myself.
Exactly. And what was the heart of Jaws? We had, going to Jaws, we had a father who was scared of the water, but when it came to feeling that his child was jeopardized, then that's what said, okay, you know what, I have to go to work. This is a complete opposite, because in this case, you have a protective child going to get her father, who she doesn't realize is in jeopardy. She suspects that he could be in jeopardy, not from gators, but it's emotionally tied in. And talking about like sort of like the heart of the story, I got to give a shout out to, it was a character actress that was in Jaws, Miss Lee Fierro, who passed away earlier this month due to COVID. She played the role that's attacked in
Say that again.
in
You got
Jaws.
a little digital delay. What did she do?
Sure, Lee Fierro played the mother of the young boy that got attacked in Jaws.
Yes.
And
yes.
first of all, that attack was the one that made people cling to their movie seats. But she was also in a way the emotional heart of what was really at stake here, because the town was like, oh, we don't want to keep the tourists away. Sheriff Brody is like, screw this. We need, we got a shark. We got to handle this. And it's very, it's like a triumphant moment when the local fishermen got a medium-sized shark, and everyone's thinking, this is the shark, and Louis Dreyfus is like, this isn't the shark. But the mother comes up, right when these men are bragging, and she basically slaps the shit out of Sheriff Brody, because it was like, you knew that the shark was out here and you guys didn't do anything about it. And he ends up being the one that takes the blame because of what the mayor and the city townspeople, agreed on. He becomes she grounds it. You have this, like, it's entertaining, but honestly, for about 5 seconds, it's not entertaining. I mean, they went straight out. That was like a dramatic thing from fucking ordinary fucking people. I mean, that thing was like, oh, the way she slapped them, that was like, oh man, this ain't fun anymore.
right. It got real serious.
So
and
a big
about
shout
our
out
main
to
character,
her. Poor
right?
thing. I mean, she died from COVID complications, and I think also because of I'm sorry, I know I'm babbling. I think just because of news, because of the stuff that we're going through now, that this is going to probably bring a little more shine to this little gem of a movie, because we have, everyone's supposed to stay at home, and this woman and this father are fighting against something that is in their house.
Right. I'm glad you made that tie, right? Everyone's supposed to stay at home, but she was going to go all the way to find out what happened to her dad, even if they were estranged, even if the ex-boyfriend, who's now a state trooper, says, well, I'll go check on him for him. You're not going to check on him like I'm willing to check on him, right? I went to his apartment, saw the dog was still there. That was a clue to me that there was something not right. So I'm going to go further. Now it's a thriller. Then she goes to the old house, and his car's out front, and he's not responding. And now it's more of a thriller. And I brought the dog with me too, because it's a horror movie, and there has to be a dog that you follow down into the basement. Not black people. That's also standard. She's not black, because a black person would have put the dog down in the basement, obviously, to go look for dad. And if dog gets crunched, it's time to call for help. Hello? Is this microphone on? This is a thing that, we have to have our own black horror movies where people behave like we behave. We would not crawl in a crawl space in a movie called Crawl. And she even stepped on alligator poop, I think, and kept going at one point. I mean, it was really, they kept drawing you in because she kept getting more clues. She saw his radio, then she saw his screwdriver, then she saw a bloody hand on the wall, handprint, which made her like, oh, now he's in danger. I must come in more. So my black like, hey, he was in danger. I better go get some help. What you gonna do?
OUT out, OWT out is out.
He was in danger. Yeah, he was in danger. And what are you going to do to solve his danger? Nothing by yourself? Your little scrappy dog was smart enough to stay upstairs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had to ask you something. It was very strange when those, just I remember feeling when I first saw the movie and I checked it out again yesterday. That dog just looked really strange to me. I mean, it honestly, and
Well,
not
what? What about him? I mean,
honestly
was
at
ratty
moments,
looking
honestly,
and wet.
when they were showing shots of the dog's face, I swear to God, it looked like it was a computer generated dog. There was something funny. I mean, I'm not, I'm just saying
You
this from
you
what I
did right.
saw.
I didn't pay any attention to that.
Yeah, it wasn't even like I could scientifically dissect all this stuff, but there was something about when they were showing the dog's face and the eyes, there was something that looked a little phony about it. And I'm sure they got a dog, but it was just really weird because it was like, I don't know if it was lit or whatever. There was something really phony looking about that dog, and I started thinking about that movie with Harrison Ford.
Oh, where it's
I didn't
obviously
see
a
that movie.
CG
I was
dog.
just thinking about the trailer, but I was like, did they have a computer generated dog? But I'm not saying that they did. But there was something phony. There was something up with that dog.
Okay, I believe you.
I get the fuzzy wuzzies when I see dogs.
I,
Or
I believe you. And you know me, I'm always trying to look for the lines and the special effects, and that one, you caught it, and I didn't catch it at all. If it was a CG dog, obviously the gators were CG, and it was pretty much flawless from my perspective. I only saw it one time, but the alligators looked flawless to me. I mean, I just couldn't catch a single thing about them, unlike the doggone Harrison Ford and a CG dog in the woods. Ugh, why? Who asked for that film?
I'm still trying. Yeah, Call of the Wild. And somebody said, yeah, let's animate the dog.
You
And
couldn't
honestly,
couldn't go through the trouble.
yeah, yeah, they did.
Couldn't
They
go through the
did.
trouble of getting an actual trained dog. Too many takes. And then, we talked about this before, and I spent a lot of time talking to my brother Brian about this all the time, about special effects being used to drive the whole thing. I love special effects. Love it, love it, love it, love it. But some of the very best ones are the ones where they use special effects to make this, because they need it in the story, but of course it's not the key to the story. And Forrest Gump is the biggest example, right? This is not a laser movie in outer space. They use special effects so Lieutenant Dan's legs could be erased, and it was flawless. And you're just like, amazing. And but of course the movie isn't about can we use special effects to make his legs be erased. And Forrest Gump playing ping pong with two hands perfectly. It's because it's hilarious for us to accept that this dude somehow became the greatest cross-country runner in the world and the greatest ping pong player, and he single-handedly brought United States and China together because he two-handed ping pong, and that was completely CG, right? Totally computerographed. But you know what? It did not take away from the film. It actually enhanced the film, even though it was totally computer graphic. And then, he shakes hands with Kennedy, and that was pretty well done, but it was good enough. And he breaks into the school. He goes past the governor who was blocking the doorway for letting students in, but Forrest Gump got in anyway. All that computer generated, right? All computer graphics. But of course, it's not a sci-fi film. So use the technology to carry your story forward, but it's got to be about the story. So if they made a CG dog that distracted you, that's unfortunate on their part.
Hey, I'm not saying they
I
did, but
didn't
it was
see
just
it.
like I was like, this dog. There's just something up with this dog. I don't know.
Yeah, because again, not to overhype the film, whatever. The biggest thing to me is there absolutely was one of those examples of things that I might not otherwise have an interest in, and it did, like you mentioned, a nice job of putting each of the different elements together. Thriller for the first act pulled you straight into thriller, gave you all your good elements of animal attack, suckered you in totally classic ways. So again, without spoiling things, there were some of the things that you just should have known were going to happen, and they did happen, and I got suckered right in. Oh, I got Dad now. I'm gonna try to sneak out. No, you're not. And why isn't she gonna sneak out? It's so obvious. But they suckered me anyway. I was like, no, they didn't. Did that happen? And you're like, oh, wait a minute, Jeff. That happens in every one of these films. Why did you think she was going to get away? Why did you think that? and you know, and it was all in there, right? You know, don't look out the window, don't look out the window, don't look out the window, don't look. I wonder what's going to happen in the window. It happened in the window, of course it did. They even gave you the go back for the dog.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it in, you know, it's like it was like they did it because it's an element of horror films, but they didn't do it in most classic. Sparky, Sparky, are you outside in the dark where the killer is with the axe? Sparky, let me walk out. Oh, Sparky's still barking, so I'm gonna keep walking. Sparky, is that still you? What's that shiny thing that looks like a knife, Sparky, but it still might be you? Let me bend over and stick my neck out. Mostly films are like that. This film wasn't like that, but they still went after Sparky. You really did get every single element that you're used to getting, and I wasn't mad at him because it was done well. It was done better than usual.
Okay. Sorry, I got frozen for a moment. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, in the end, when you look back, they gave you all the elements, even some of those old classic corny elements, but yet it wasn't done as in a corny way, and it totally suckered me in when they did happen.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They do always go after the dog when you tell them not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't go after the dog. If it was in a black movie, trust me, because our boy is going to make, he really does need to cover this. I mean, obviously it was already covered in Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I would like someone to actually do a horror movie with black people, and the black person be like, no, I ain't going after that dog. I mean, it's a horror movie. I'm going to get killed later. And there's going to be plenty of blood and crunching, but I'm not going to get killed because I went out looking for the dog. That's, no. Not in a black horror film. We get killed for other reasons. And we're never drinking tea again. Well, at least we're never letting white people drink it. A white person comes down with tea and a spoon, you slap it out of their hand.
I was trying to remember if they drank tea in this movie. I was like, oh, no.
You can drink some, but
we don't need to be, no tea from sunken place people. No, that's another movie.
They come in the room with the teaspoon and tea, you slap it out of their hand.
Yeah.
Use a plastic paper cup. Use a paper cup.
Right.
So, Carl?
Okay, no. Well, I think we just, I think we you know, I think we hit on everything. You know, and again, this is sort of like, you know, just well crafted, well paced, escalating the tension. You know,
you didn't mention he had the guy we like.
I like I like the characters. I like the dynamic, and it's sort of you know, just sort of you know, just sort of did something that I guess sort of like a couple movies did, in my opinion. It's like sometimes, you know, going back to I'm gonna bring the Jaws comparison again. You know, sometimes, you know, the big movies are about sort of like stuff done on a big scale, and sometimes having something take place at home can be just as interesting. All right.
Yeah, exactly right.
The guy, you know, Brody goes out into the ocean to fight, you know, against the shark. We have a very good story about you know, we have a female, a very strong, active girl who has to deal with this problem at home. And, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, all the Jaws movies now. Okay, the one that did have a female protagonist was the worst one of the bunch. You know, it had, you know, Mrs. Brody, somehow or another, this time it's personal. You know, the shark that ate her son, and she has to go out. Right. You know, and I'm like, right. You know what? This is, you know, that was utterly ridiculous to me. This was just, to me, you know, I thought it was a nice, good, not just girl power, but you know, a young woman who you know, Crawl, young right. woman looking out for her father.
That's right.
And they captured the heart of what was important. And you know,
and they established her from the very beginning, right? They established her from the very beginning. right? The whole first act established her. So then the whole second and third act is about unpacking their relationship and having her grow.
Mm-hmm.
We established her, and the way she was established was, strong, strong-willed, a strong individual person, courageous, willing to go rescue her dad. And then, then we talk about what is their relationship in the second act, and then she grows through it in the third act. I mean, unlike any of the other films, it's just not about, like you said, these other films where we're going to try to make up for it, and this is personal. It's not about, as you know, the classic of the horror of the 70s thing is that they would always give you a female character, and it would be the last person to not get chewed up or eaten.
Final girl, yeah.
That final girl, right? They get to live the end. It's fake feminism that they say they have her walking around scantily clad the whole film, but to make it okay, she'll be the one that doesn't die, and she's the one that kills the monster. And that's fake feminism. Give me a real person who had real things, and she's really strong. This character is, she's really, really strong-willed. She really is capable. She really does overcome. She does use the very best of what she's got to survive, and she happens to be a female character. Here's a story, again, it's about a dad who pushes an athlete too hard. That's almost always a male and a male. It's almost always a man pushing his son too hard to be an athlete. And this film goes even further. It wasn't so much that he was pushing so hard, because as they unpack the story, the dad wasn't as bad as he thought, even though he feels like he was a failure in his marriage and other things that were bad, but the dad wasn't as bad as he thought. He wasn't actually that guy who was pushing his son too far, and it ruined his life. He wasn't that guy.
No.
And they both came to understand that. Both the daughter and the father got to reconcile and learn more and develop. Not what you get in a normal horror movie. Not at all.
She saves the father's life, and she helps him to put those ghosts behind him. Yep. Hopefully, that's what.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And
that was great. Also, I like the fact that it stepped away from the personification of the monster, even, right? I mean, very early on, they're like, no, you came here to get crunching and chewing. It's not really about the one shark. It's not some personification of Godzilla, and then the whole movie is somehow we got to just kill Godzilla. Nope, that would be too easy. This movie is a little bit more sophisticated than that, and it'll be more fun for you. You're going to get a lot more killing and crunching and blood spurting because we're being more realistic.
Yeah.
Now, any other time, maybe that might disappoint somebody because it's not about Cujo. Mm-hmm. Like it's just about the one monster, and we're going to spend the whole film trying to kill the monster. No, that's not even realistic. And totally not necessary for this to be scary and horrific and blood spurting and all the rest. Let's be realistic. And the more realistic we are, guess what? It's scarier. Mm-hmm. It adds more tension and drama to the story by not making it about the one Killer Croc, which I think we had Killer Croc. You skipped Lake Palisades.
Lake Placid.
Lake Placid. Why even use the full name of that city for a film?
Yeah.
That bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lake Placid. They didn't in Lake Placid. They ate one of our Golden Girls. That's just.
You know what? I barely remember that, Jeff. That was just that was just bad. I mean, I think I went and saw it because David Kelly had these hit shows, and I was like, okay, let's and he showed that making a horror movie was not in his skill well. But it was It's been interesting. They've had like some, like again, the Alligator, that was one in the early 80s. I think in the 2000s there was another one called Rogue, which was made in Australia. Which that would sort of be like an equivalent to sort of like Jaws with the alligator, which is actually a decent. I remember it being a decent movie. I actually have to go and check it out. But it's it sort of was a subgenre, which was sort of like a byproduct of other things. And going back to what you say, you're glad it wasn't personified. And this story was just a byproduct. We have hurricanes. This stuff is happening. And I'm sure not that they would have stuff happening like this, but I'm sure if you're living in Florida or whatever, I'm sure some, crocodiles or alligators got put to areas where you didn't expect to find them. And I'm sort of glad that they just sort of said, this is a storm, this is what happened, it was lean. There wasn't going to be any, oh, well, you know, sometimes you get the environmentally conscious stuff where it's like, oh, because we ruin the environment, and the animals are coming to feast on us. You know, none of that stuff. It was just,
yeah, it wasn't necessary, man.
It wasn't necessary.
You know, I mean, they're alligators, and plus it's a hurricane, and that might have stirred. It totally wasn't necessary. It just it fit right in. Shoot, I've been to a whole lot of, you know, going on business golf outings down in Florida, and those suckers coming out of the water hazard. And I'm like, what? And then people are like, hey, I lost my ball. It's right on the edge of the water, and I don't want to give up 2 points. Let me go ahead and see if I can play the ball. No, I guess that's a mulligan for me. That's just 2 points I'm not going to get.
Yeah, and you definitely, I know there's more than enough videos of people's dogs barking at these alligators. So I mean, I was fine with the dog being there.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So,
Crawl, close it out.
You? Yeah, no, I opened it. You close it out. What do you?
So I very good. It was in fact me who brought up the idea of watching this thing. My brother's listening out there, which he better be. See, you talked me into watching this film. So I guess that means we'll have to have you on the show sometime. And,
yeah. And then Brian, thank you. It wasn't an expected choice, but I was like, wow, you know,
Claude,
it's a gem of a movie, and because we've seen stuff like this before, we're able to unpack it a little more. So I just thank you for this. This was like brother Johnson's. Thank you. Like this.
So check out Crawl. If it crawls onto your screen, if it's already paid for, it's certainly worth watching on cable, and you already paid for it.
And if you're looking for stuff, you can check out the alligator. I think Rogue. You know, I'm 90%. I mean, 80% sure that you'll be entertained by it. I honestly have to remember it. I remember liking it. And Jaws.
And I'm about to say, and if you haven't seen Jaws, obviously, we never did a head-to-head comparison. Claude did a nice job of talking to you about how the genre is established for some of the best Jaws. If you haven't seen Jaws, if you're not afraid to go out in the water, well, it's time to watch this movie so you can be afraid.
Yeah. And then and also just again, just a little, you know, it was just interesting. It's just like, in terms of us going through this COVID thing. I'm like, yeah, we got this. We have to stay at home, and these people can't necessarily go home at the point. So this works. I honestly, I mean, this is again a gem of a movie, and I think as time goes on, they look back at history, they're like, oh, this is what was happening, this is what was happening, and it will probably be like, oh, okay, and yeah.
All right, come back and see us again. Claude and I'll be reviewing another film.
All right.
Enjoy.
Peace.